Hi, this is Salgood Sam reporting for Sequential, and what you're about to watch is a series of videos of a panel that Bryan and I presented at Word on the Street 2009. Oh Canada, surveying the landscape of Canadian comics, with guest speakers Kevin Boyd of the Joe Shuster Awards and Brad Mackay of the Doug Wright Awards. We had a nice long chat, and hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to Word on the Street, the sequential panel surveying the landscape of Canadian comics, the state of the industry and culture. Oh Canada, yeah. This is my co-blogger Bryan, Munn. And if you guys want to introduce each other?
No. This is Bryan. This is Kevin Boyd to my left.
Brad Mackay to my right.
Brad Mackay. That's on. Yeah, I'm Brad Mackay. I'm founder, co-director of the Doug Wright Awards for Canadian cartooning, and a writer of the collective Doug Wright, which is being sold right behind us over at the Drawn and Quarterly booth.
And my name is Kevin Boyd, and I'm the founder and co-executive director of the Joe Shuster Awards for Canadian comic book creators. And I also do cancer research, and I also work for Fan Expo and do a bunch of other research. Yeah. Comics is the cheery part of my life.
Now I'm going to say you're doing something good with your life as opposed to being involved in comics. That's something altruistic. Sorry.
I guess I should just wrap up. I'm Salgood Sam. I'm publisher of Sequential, and I'm a comic book artist. So I'm the only cartoonist. Yeah.
Pete here sends his apology. Pete here was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he's smarter than all four of us combined, but he's on a research trip.
And we were going to have some other artists, award winners, but couldn't wrangle anybody together at the time. So basically, we were just talking before. We've got everyone's panicking. There's a recession. There are definitely issues with the parts of the market growing, contracting over the years, but it seemed to be certain degree there was a consensus with you guys about the general health of the industry, or the
Canadian industry.
Canadian media.
I think it's the best ever.
That was your...
I boldly make a statement that it's the best ever. Any cartoonist, Mark Newey would agree. He's a good cartoonist. Been nominated for awards before. No, I think the fact that I think in the book trade, I was just talking about this to somebody before who's developing a graphic novel, is that the interest in graphic novels is probably the biggest it's been, I don't know, since they were invented like 30, 40 years ago. Every, chapters or Indigo has a section dedicated to it. If you talk to any sort of publisher right now, despite the recession, it's the one kind of niche market which is growing as opposed to other ones which are kind of dropped off. I've been interested in involved in comics for 20 some odd years, and it still blows me away to see there's tons of books that I've never read. I didn't even know existed, in terms of Canadian comics. And there's two, exclusively Canadian comics / cartooning awards, the Wrights and the Schusters, which both started out 5 years ago.
In English.
Sorry,
there are two French awards.
Two English language, I should say.
And the BDLs?
There's the Bedelays and, which are exclusively for Francophone comics. And they've been around longer than us.
And we're about 20% French.
Yeah.
So we have quite a few French.
You're personally 20%?
No. I can understand about 25% French.
My family's from Montreal. Does that
The Schusters were actually last night, and I noticed quite a few of the winners actually ended up being Quebecers.
Yes, actually, the Canadian publisher at the Shuster Award went to Mechanic General, May 402. The colorist of the year was a French-Canadian colorist named Francois Lapierre, and the cover artist is actually living in France, Nico Hammerschau, and he worked for Dupuis, a French publisher, and the cover was for Hostile Volume 1.
Actually, a question occurs to me from going back a little ways. When the Doug Wright started up, there were definitely, just initially starting off as an English award. Are you guys still considering trying to bring in a parallel French thing, or is that still being put off for time being?
We've talked about it extensively. But once we've contacted the people who run the other awards, and to me, I think the goal with us has always been to fill a niche, and that niche really seems to be well filled by both of those. Right. I talked to Michel Rabagliati during TCAF about that, and who's a great French-Canadian cartoonist. And he was like, no, there's no need. They've been around for a while. They fill a perfect. Maybe they don't have as high a profile because they're just within Quebec. But to me personally, speaking on behalf of the Wrights at this point, I can't imagine doing that because it doesn't mean anything to those. And it essentially would be we have to get people within, and we could do that. I mean, there's people there who would be willing to serve as advisors to help kind of curate that award. But I don't know. I think if it was a world where you didn't see any of it in English, D&Q does a really good job of translating all of the stuff. And I'd be a little more.
Quebec's an interesting market. I mean, I live in Montreal, and when all this sort of started coming up, I started asking around. I had a lot of friends in the French part of the comic scene, but we don't talk shop all the time. So I checked with them. The general consensus is that they're much more concerned, actually, in trying to get their work overseas into other French markets. That they like the idea of getting people in Canada to know, but in the end, they don't have necessarily a lot of interest in.
I think a lot of the stuff, like I think Rabagliati stuff's a good example of that. I think a lot of that, his more Quebec-focused stuff doesn't resonate as well in North America for whatever reason. I think it's fantastic. I think any stuff he does, but I think generally speaking, the stuff that's more kind of unique to French culture just doesn't. People don't connect with it the same way. His latest book, which is about being in the Quebec countryside and cottage, from what I've heard, didn't resonate in the same way that the other stuff did. Right? You're doing such a great job. Get off the stage. Yeah, we've done a lot of thinking about it, I guess.
Okay, looking forward. Good question. I was talking last night with one of my peers, Eric Kim, about his feelings. We need more infrastructure. The question being, what qualifies infrastructure? Distribution, publishing, artists, and then when you talk about the two awards, sort of one of the distinctive differences is kind of the profile. Yours has become a bit more of a peer award, sort of a trade award.
Say pure award?
Peer award, like the judges are often peers. Whereas you guys are definitely cultivating more of a literary profile, trying to attract attention from outside of the comics field more. And that seems to me like on one level, like any awards are good, but you guys go on toward getting the classic little stamp on the book once you've gotten an award and trying to have that cachet. What else could we do in terms of like drawing in? What could we do with the Schusters to do similar things?
I mean, I hate to sound crass about this, but I think at a basic, somebody smarter than me said this, but I think at a basic, regardless of what the award ceremony is, whether it's the Oscars, the People's Choice Awards, or the Doug Wright Awards, I mean, the bottom line is to help people, sell product, right?
Absolutely.
It's really, and if you lose track of that as being, a glimmering event. I mean, the Oscars are like that, the Schusters are like that.
But I think in terms of within the pool of readers of comics versus trying to bring people in who don't necessarily always read comics, which would be, okay, if you want to expand the market or build infrastructure, which would be like basically build the market. Have more people looking for books so you can have more stories.
Well, we've always curated it, kind of designed the Wright Awards as a book award, right, in the very beginning. And that wasn't done. This is before, we were both developing issues. I remember meeting in the first year. Yeah, and it just happened organically, right? It wasn't like some grand plan to have the Schusters and then the Wright Awards. But the way that happened is just it was always, it was more or less like that from the beginning. It was like, let's just do a book award because, and we were focused at kind of a wider audience. Because 5 years ago, graphic novels weren't as popular as they are now. Maybe it'd be different if we started it now. But to me, I'm interested in all a lot of the similar stuff that, some of the awards from more, classic comic awards. Because, the Eisners have the same sort of thing where it's more of a pure award where you have, things divided down into, best artist or whatever. To me, in the end, it was just an easier thing for us to do in terms of focusing, because then you can get people like Bob Ray or Adam McGoyan or Don McKellar to sit on your jury because they're going to understand that complete book. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that might be a problem in terms of getting a jury of people outside of comics to look at, say, best letter or best inkers. They may not know. You know what I mean? And those are really extremely important things as well. The Eisners are the biggest comic book awards out there, and they deal with a lot of that because that's important to